The hallway reeked of disinfectant and boiled cabbage, the kind of smell that sticks to your throat. I balanced the oversized thermos with both hands, repeating the recipe in my head like a spell. Marrow bones, goji berries, low-sodium soy, simmered 4 hours. Perfect for cousin Evelyn's delicate stomach. A familiar chuckle drifted from her room. "Darling, relax. As soon as you're out, we'll chase cherry blossoms in Kyoto like we promised." Kyoto? I froze. His thumb traced lazy circles over the back of her manicured hand. She tilted her head, eyes glowing. Strangers perched on plastic chairs sighed. "So sweet," whispered a college girl scrolling on her phone. "That's senior citizen goals right there." The thermos slipped. Metal slammed tile. Broth sloshed over my sensible shoes and onto the girl's novelty socks. She jumped. "Oh, sorry," my voice squeaked. I mopped the mess with tissue packets I'd stuffed into my purse, heart pounding like a runaway washing machine. Franklin's baritone floated through the doorway. "That woman at the door, just our caregiver." My spine snapped straighter. A nurse in pink Crocs beamed at me. "You're a blessing. Have time for another client? My dad needs night care." He chuckled. "She's busy." Busy being his unpaid maid, apparently. Heat flushed from my chest to my ears. I glanced down the corridor, mirrors lining each side like a funhouse maze. One reflection showed Evelyn's silk robe, cherry red. Another captured Franklin, crisp shirt I had ironed at dawn. Then, at the far end, me. Frizzy grey halo, thrift store pants, chipped thermos clutched like a toddler's security blanket. A thought slammed through me. When did I agree to disappear? An orderly brushed past, nudging my elbow. The thermos rattled again. People stared, then politely pretended they hadn't. My cheek stung as if someone had slapped me. The nurse tried to hand me a clipboard. "If you add your rates here..." I'm not for hire." Words came out airy, thin. Franklin kissed Evelyn's knuckles. "See, darling, even the staff adore you." Evelyn giggled, airy and musical. "They think you're my husband." He didn't correct her. He let the lie sit, warm and heavy, filling the room the way my soup never would. Something inside me, not anger exactly, more like a snapped violin string, twanged. Memories hit rapid fire. Ironing Franklin's first lecture suit, skipping my college acceptance so he could study abroad, sewing Nathan's Halloween costumes at 3 a.m. While Franklin rewrote Evelyn's old love letters he claimed were academic notes. A silent scream pressed against my ribs. Say something, anything. Instead, I knelt, wiping broth that had already begun congealing. My knees ached, the tile was icy. A student nurse whispered to her friend, "Sad how caregivers get ignored." I wasn't a caregiver. I was the wife. "Excuse me," the nurse with the clipboard persisted. "Your sauce spilled under the vending machine." Of course it did. The mess kept spreading, same as the lies. I reached for the thermos, but a hand beat me to it, trembling, ringed with hospital bracelets. An elderly woman in the next bed's visitor chair. She offered a gentle smile. "Looks like you've been carrying more than soup, dear." My throat tightened. I opened my mouth. No words, just steam. Behind us, Franklin's voice deepened, playful. "You'll spoil her, Evelyn. She'll never leave." Never leave. My shoulders lifted, then dropped. What if I did leave? What if I stood, marched inside, and announced myself, not the caregiver, the wife? The idea felt impossibly loud. The hallway clock ticked, syrup slow. 3:17 p.m., visiting hour almost over. I inhaled the sour cabbage air and tasted metal. The elderly visitor bent closer. "I dropped my husband's soup once. That was the day I decided burnt shoes were cheaper than burnt dignity." She winked, shuffled away. Dignity. The word settled like a stone in my gut. Inside the room, Franklin laughed again. "Kyoto's cherry blossoms, remember? We'll pack light." Evelyn whispered back, "Only if our caregiver handles the packing." Heat pulsed behind my eyes. I wiped my hands on the last of the tissues, rose slowly, thermos clutched sideways, broth sloshing in sad circles. In the mirror, I met my own gaze. The woman staring back didn't look fragile. She looked, paused, as if waiting for a director to shout action. I straightened. Action. With deliberate steps I approached the room, 1, 2, 3, each louder than the last. The nurse with the clipboard called, "Ma'am, the spill—" But I was already crossing the threshold, broth-stained shoes squeaking like tiny alarms. A dozen heads turned, Franklin's face lit with recognition, then confusion. Evelyn's smile froze, lipstick glossy under fluorescent light. I set the dented thermos on the windowsill, broth dripping down its side like a clock finally out of patience. "My rate just went up," I said, voice calm, almost cheerful. "Starting now, I charge triple for cherry blossom tours." I held Franklin's gaze. "Paid in advance." Gasps scattered like birds. Someone's phone popped up, recording. Franklin's mouth open, closed. Evelyn's cheeks blanched beneath foundation. Inside my chest, the snapped violin string hummed a brand new note. Low, steady, thrillingly alive. And for the first time in decades, the soup smelled like freedom instead of obligation. The kitchen clock clicked past midnight while hot water hissed over the china cup. Ruby smear of Evelyn's lipstick refused to budge, so I scrubbed harder, palms stinging. "Mum, Miles needs you tomorrow." Nathan's voice crackled through the speaker I'd wedged between shoulder and ear. "Dana's got a webinar, diapers everywhere." My spine protested. "My back's been—" "You'll manage. You always do." The line went dead before I finished the sentence. I stared at bubbles swirling down the drain, hearing a faint echo. "You always do." Was that love or lazy certainty? The night kept breathing. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed again, a name I hadn't seen since our high school debate team. Inga. "Coffee tomorrow?" "Something you need to see." Curiosity overrode exhaustion. I texted sure. 9? Then fell into bed with damp hands that still smelled of dish soap and betrayal. Steam curled from chipped mugs when Inga slid into the booth, briefcase thunking against vinyl. "You look the same." I tried a smile. "Older, meaner, billable." She pushed a folder across the table. "Flip to page 3. Black and white deed copy, bolded address I knew by heart, Franklin's prized Riverside condo. Under owners, only 2 names, Franklin Whitmore, Nathan Whitmore. My fingertip hovered over the empty space where mine should be. "When?" 14 months ago, Inga said, voice flat. "Your son witnessed." "My own son signed me away." It sounded theatrical, yet heartbreak felt mundane, like discovering mold under pretty tiles. Inga tapped another sheet. "Appraised at 800 grand. It'll appreciate once that new bridge opens." My throat tightened. "Franklin said the bridge was a rumor." "Rumor he's banking on." She leaned closer, lawyer mode engaged. "He's using a classic strip and shift. Move assets to family, plead poverty at divorce, then shift them back once the ink dries." Heat pooled in my chest. Nathan knew? In writing. I watched latte foam collapse. Maybe Franklin scared him. Maybe— Inga's stare cut through excuses. "He's 35, not 5. Look, either we go after both, or you walk away with nothing but anecdotes." The cafe lights felt too bright, the air too sweet with pastry sugar. Could I fight my own husband and son? Was I really worth that trouble? My phone buzzed again, Nathan's avatar blinking like a faulty streetlight. I pressed play. "Dad says you're stressed. Don't blow things up over paperwork you don't understand." "Paperwork I don't understand." The words clanged louder than the espresso grinder behind me. How many nights had I balanced utility bills by candlelight, while Franklin sipped hotel champagne on lecture tours? Carpool routes, science fair papier-mâché volcanoes, birthday cakes iced at 2 a.m. All me, while the men handled the important stuff. I rewound the note just to let the condescension soak a second time. Across the table, Inga set aside her latte. "One signature from you and I file a lease pendens today. We freeze that condo before they refinance. Your call." Steam hissed. Cups clinked. Somewhere a barista laughed at a joke about almond milk. Normal Thursday soundtrack, yet every sound felt carved in high def. Like someone dialed up the world's saturation so I couldn't ignore a single pixel, because for the first time, I might pull the lever. A tremor rippled through me. Truth, I'm scared. Inga's voice softened, but her eyes stayed still. Good, fear means you're awake. I flattened my palm on the deed copy, ink still smelling faintly of fresh toner. My pulse thumped through the paper. Did I really deserve half a riverside condo? Could I survive open war with the two people I'd spent my life protecting? A text arrived from Nathan before I answered myself. Mom, Dad's lawyer says this'll ruin his career. Think of the students. I typed, did Dad think of me? Then erased it. Some lessons he'd have to learn from silence. My breaths grew longer. The cafe air tasted like burnt sugar and possibility. I imagined Franklin's face when the freeze notice landed. Surprise first, then righteous fury. I imagined Evelyn's manicured nails digging crescent moons into her silk scarf. Justice wasn't tidy. It dripped like slow caramel. Another buzz. Group chat of the women from my live stream. Margot, whatever you decide, we stand with you. Support from strangers who'd learned to trust my onion hacks felt more solid than decades of family vows. I swallowed hard, heart cresting on a wave of anger, maybe hope, something bright enough to burn. File it, I said. The words came out steady as a metronome. My own certainty startled me. Inga's lips curved like a drawn sword. Thought you'd never ask. She flipped open her tablet, stylus poised. Signature here, initial there. Hands no longer shook. I signed. Ink sank into paper, permanent, undeniable. The espresso machine screamed again. This time the sound felt like applause. Inga snapped photos of the pages for her clerk. Within an hour, the county recorder's office stamps it. By tonight, every title company in the state sees that lien. They can't move a penny without our say-so. A nervous laugh escaped me. So that's it? I just declared independence. More like you built your own border wall, she smirked. Welcome to sovereignty. As she packed up, my phone buzzed once more. Franklin's name. I let it ring. The deed between my fingers weighed less than the phone, yet somehow anchored me to the floor. I pocketed both. Lunch is on me, I said, voice lighter, almost giddy. Inga raised a brow. Feeling generous? Feeling wealthy, I answered, meaning far more than money. Outside, winter sunlight sliced through cloud cover, painting even the grimy sidewalk gold. I stepped onto it, boots crunching last night's salt. Fear still murmured under my ribs, but it no longer steered the wheel. For the first time in decades, the road ahead belonged to me. Walking home, frost nipped my cheeks, but inside, I burned. Each step repeated a silent mantra. File it, fight it, own it. Passing shop windows, I caught reflections of a woman who looked taller than she felt yesterday. Phone chimed, Franklin this time. Heard you met a lawyer. Let's discuss calmly. No need for theatrics. I typed, deleted, retyped. Finally sent, calm begins with honesty. I'll wait for that. 3 dots blinked, vanished. No reply. Halfway home, back twinged, doubt whispered, what if you lose? Traffic whooshed. A bus splattered slush at my shoes. I steadied against a lamppost, breath fogging. Losing hurt, yes, but surrendering unseen hurt worse. A notification popped from my banking app. Savings balance. Same 3 depressing digits. Court costs. I exhaled shakily, remembering soap-burned fingers counting pennies for groceries. Yet Inga's parting words echoed, if you can simmer stock for 4 hours, you can simmer courage just as long. I pressed a palm to my chest, felt my heartbeat argue, prove it. Back home, the sink overflowed with last night's dishes. I filled a pot with water, muscle memory, then paused. Tonight's menu wasn't soup, it was paperwork and strategy. I wiped the counter clear, set Inga's folder dead center like a recipe book. My pen hovered over a fresh notepad. Step 1, freeze assets. Step 2, separate finances. Step 3, tell Nathan I know. A teacup rattled in the drying rack, lipstick stain still visible. I left it. Let the reminder sit until tomorrow, maybe forever. Because cracks do spread faster than soup skins, but if you catch them at the right moment, you can pour the soup into a stronger bowl. Tonight, I was done scrubbing stains that weren't mine. The morning began with the same old creak of the mail slot, but the envelope that slid across the tile looked like it belonged in a perfume ad. Thin ivory paper, French stamp, scalloped edges. My first instinct was wedding invitation. Hope fizzled when I read the return address. G. Leclerc, Lyon. I peeled it open, breath shallow. Dear Margot, I am Gerard Leclerc, Evelyn's former husband. Franklin never released her, nor she him. Their letters outlived our vows. He wrote her on our wedding night, and every holiday thereafter. You, I suspect, were never meant to know. You deserve the truth. G ink blurred as tears threatened, but no tears fell. Rage dries tears before they drop. Still vacuuming secrets off the carpet, I muttered to the empty room, then startled at my own bitterness. I reread the letter, knuckles bleaching. Not a fling. A 40-year affair threaded through 2 households, 2 ceremonies, countless ordinary breakfasts I had served. My next call wasn't to Franklin. It was to Inga. Meet me at the bakery, I whispered. Her answer was immediate. Bring gloves. We're digging. Inga cradled her cappuccino like evidence. That letter changes the narrative from marital rift to marital fraud, she said. So it's ammunition. My voice wavered between hope and disbelief. Loaded shell. She skimmed the page, eyes flaring. He wrote the night Evelyn married someone else. That's premeditated emotional adultery. Judges hate that. What do I do? Waive it in court? I asked. She tapped the table. No, photocopy. File it as exhibit. Keep the original. And Margot, brace. Franklin will spin. Nathan will spin faster. My stomach rolled. Nathan still isn't answering texts. Inga's gaze softened. Children raised on entitlement resist truth. Keep reaching, but keep shields up. The bakery bell chimed. Outside, sleet painted the street silver. I slipped the letter into a plastic sleeve like a relic. That evening, the front door clicked open. Franklin's whistle, low, cheerful, sailed down the hall, same tune he hummed on lecture days. He sauntered into the dining room, loosened his scarf. Smells like cinnamon. You baked? Silently, I slid Gerard's letter across the polished wood. His smile froze. Eyes flicked left, right, calculating. Where did you get this? I folded my arms. Under my door, addressed to me. My tone surprised even me, steady, crystalline. He skimmed, color draining. You snooped through my mail again? It was addressed to me, I repeated, tapping the postmark. So was the condo, once. A vein throbbed at his temple. You really want to drag ancient history before a judge. After I built this career, you built nothing alone, I cut in. Court meets Wednesday. Franklin's chair scraped. Margot, be reasonable. A public circus helps no one. Picture the headlines. Respected professor's wife goes vindictive. I heard my heart beat more clearly than his words. Reason left the room when you forged a partnership without me. His fists curled. Half of everything. You'll bankrupt the family. Family requires honesty, I said. Bankruptcy arrived when you signed away the condo. He strode to the buffet, yanked a drawer, rummaging for something, maybe calm. Let's negotiate, quietly. I already negotiated, with a lawyer. His brows shot up. Hiring sharks now. Hiring lifelines, I corrected. He exhaled, adjusting his cufflinks. If you force discovery, they'll comb through Nathan's finances. Don't destroy your own son to spite me. I swallowed the sting. Nathan will face only what he signed. Franklin's voice dropped to a hiss. You're ruining everything for a decades-old crush. Crush. The word cracked something loose. I stepped closer. You wrote her on my anniversary, on her honeymoon. How long were you planning my understudy role? He looked away, jaw clamped. Phone buzzed. Nathan's name lit the screen. I answered on speaker. Dad says you're creating drama, Nathan launched. You got free housing 30 years. Why attack the assets now? My breath caught. Free housing? Nathan, I paid in sweat equity. Mom, you don't understand investments, Franklin mouthed. Hang up. I didn't. Nathan, did you sign the condo deed? Dad explained you'd panic. It's temporary. He sounded 12, not 35. Temporary theft, I said. Stop this, Nathan snapped. You'll embarrass the department, the university, me. Franklin lunged, stabbing the red button. Call ended. He glared. Congratulations, you've set mother against son. I steadied the quake inside me. I didn't set anything. You two wrote the script. He ran a hand through thinning hair. You're not built for war, Margot. I met his stare. Maybe not, but I'm finished volunteering for surrender. Franklin holed up in his study. I heard muffled phone calls, damage control in academic tones. I brewed chamomile, throat raw. Doubt crept like frost over glass. Could I really survive scorched earth litigation? Gerard's letter felt both sword and shackle. Midnight, my inbox chimed. Unknown sender, Madame Whitmore. Gerard told me he mailed you. I confirm every word. Franklin visited me in Marseille last summer, alone. He called our affair unfinished music. I record all visitors for my safety. Video available if useful. Claudine L., hotelier. I press play on the attached clip, grainy footage of Franklin at a seaside lobby, Evelyn at his elbow. Their hands brushed, unmistakable intimacy. He was supposed to be keynoting in Berlin that week. Proof multiplied like rabbits. Relief mingled with nausea. Evidence meant exposure, but also finality. I drafted a message to Inga. More exhibits incoming. Hope your copier's hungry. Then, after a long pause, I texted Nathan. I love you. Truth is coming Wednesday, whether you attend or not. I hope you read every page. No punctuation beyond that, none to soften or sharpen. I padded to the kitchen, flicked on the light. Countertops gleamed. No dinner cooked tonight. I set Gerard's letter upright against the toaster, a paper sentinel. For years my world rotated around Franklin's lectures, Nathan's schedules, Evelyn's allergies. Tonight the house felt off-kilter, but I was standing center stage, script in my own hand. I whispered the words I'd repeat in court. I refuse invisibility. The refrigerator hummed approval. Outside, dawn bled pink across the skyline. I opened the window, breathed cold air, tasted metal and possibility. Curtains fluttered like applause for a show just beginning. Wednesday waited, but so did justice, and I finally believed I could greet them both without flinching. The courthouse lobby felt like an oversteamed sauna trapped inside an old library. Scorched coffee, dusty carpet, nerves sizzling under fluorescent lights. Security wandered my purse, pausing at the plastic sleeve holding Gerard's letter. Evidence, I whispered. Inga met me by the elevator, crisp navy suit, eyes sharp as a paring knife. You ready? She asked. Ready as soup at a rolling boil, I said, though my pulse skittered like beans on hot iron. Franklin waited outside the courtroom, shoulders squared, tweed perfect. Nathan hovered behind him, phone glued to palm. Their lawyer, Mr. Larkin, all silver cufflinks and breath-mint smile, extended a hand. Let's keep this civil, he offered. Inga barely touched his fingers. Civility begins with full disclosure, counselor. Inside, the gallery held a smattering of curious students and one unexpected face. Evelyn in a champagne scarf, tapping a manicured nail on her violin case. She didn't look at me, but the corner of her mouth twitched, as if she already heard an encore. The clerk called us forward. Oaths sworn, seats taken. Judge Ramirez peered over half-moon glasses, gavel poised like a warning bell. Franklin's lawyer rose first, voice warm. Your Honor, my client is a respected scholar who built a legacy of learning. Any asset transfers were routine estate planning to secure his son's future. Judge Ramirez raised a brow. Estate planning at 2 a.m? Larkin's smile flickered. Insomnia, Your Honor. Mild chuckles rippled. Inga stood, remote in hand. The screen behind her flickered alive. Spreadsheet columns, timestamp stamps lighting up like runway lights. Deeds drafted at 01:57, funds wired 02:04, she narrated. Destination, jointly titled account held by Franklin and Nathan Whitmore. Amount, 913,000. Gasps fluttered through the benches. I watched Nathan's ears redden. Inga clicked again. Another slide. Gerard's letter, then surveillance stills from Marseille. Franklin's arm draped over Evelyn's shoulder, sea glittering behind them. She spoke evenly. Pattern of concealment. Financial, emotional, interstate. Franklin shifted. Evelyn crossed her ankles, uncrossed them. Nathan bolted upright. Dad said it was smart estate planning. He blurted the words like they burned. Inga faced him. Smart for whom? He faltered. For all of us. Judge Ramirez rapped the bench. Speak only when questioned. Nathan sank back, cheeks flame red. Larkin tried damage control. There was no intent to defraud Mrs. Whitmore. She enjoyed full marital benefits for decades. My breath caught. Benefited. The years of unpaid caregiving flashed. Laundry mountains, soup marathons, Evelyn's spotless nails while I scrubbed teacups. Judge Ramirez leaned forward. Counsel, equitable distribution is not a benefit. It's the law. She lifted the gavel, wood crack echoing. Order, Mr. Whitmore will deed half the disputed property to Mrs. Whitmore within 30 days, or face criminal proceedings for fraudulent conveyance. Franklin's shoulders sagged as though someone sliced invisible strings. Evelyn's violin case slipped, thudding against the wooden pew. A camera phone clicked, somebody capturing the exact moment a reputation cracked. Court adjourned. Bailiff opened the doors. Voices exploded into the corridor. Nathan cornered me by the water cooler. Mom, you humiliated us. I steadied the paper cone under the spout. Truth humiliated you. I just brought it to daylight. He looked small, almost boyish. Dad only wanted security. Security built on sand falls in the first rain, I said, pressing the cup into his hand. Drink. You'll need it. Franklin approached, tie askew. This isn't over, Margot. It is in this courthouse, Inga answered, stepping between us. He stared at me, eyes raw. You can still walk away from the spotlight. I let silence answer. Outside, reporters waited, but Inga slickly led me to a side exit. You did good, she murmured. I feel like I've been turned inside out. That feeling has a name, she said. Freedom. Back home, the kitchen felt unusually quiet. No violin video looping from Franklin's feed. No Nathan blurting demands. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the rhythmic echo of my heartbeat. I set a $10 tripod on the counter, propped my phone, and hit record. Hey, internet family, I greeted, apron already flour-dusted. Margot here. Tonight we're making survival stew. Feeds the soul when your bank account and heart are both under audit. I rinsed carrots, the faucet hissing like applause. Step 1, I said, chopping, never skimp on aromatics. Fraud may hide in the dark, but onions, they tell the truth, make everyone cry equally. Knife thudded, camera rolled. The chat counter flickered. 3 viewers, 10, 87. Comments flashed. Grandma energy. Needed this after my breakup. Can you explain simmer versus boil? My laugh felt lighter than steam. Simmer is the slow burn that breaks the tough parts down, kind of like court today. Ping. A donation badge popped. Someone sent $5 with the note, "Justice tastes like stew." I tasted broth on a wooden spoon, winked at the lens. Needs a pinch of salt, and maybe a restraining order. Chat exploded with laughing emojis. Halfway through, a notification banner scrolled. Evelyn Violin Live, her counter at 30 lonely viewers, playing Chopin in a dimly lit study. My viewer count climbed past 500. The spoon stopped mid-air. I shouldn't care. Yet the symmetry felt poetic, soup over sonata. A comment soared to the top. Your simmer beats her strings. I flipped the phone camera, showing the stew bubbling like a tiny volcano of rebellion. Flavor takes time, I told them. So does reclaiming a life. Both are worth the wait. View count, 1,102. Chat suddenly filled with links. Local news now, Professor Whitmore under fraud investigation. A thumbnail of Franklin leaving court, head down, Evelyn shielding her face with sheet music. Viewer Hannah Bakes wrote, "Is that your husband? We stan your glow-up." Heat rose to my cheeks, not shame, but a fierce, unexpected pride. I stirred the pot, let the camera zoom in on the rolling broth, rich, undeniable, loud. "Let the record show," I said softly. "Nothing sticks the landing like a good reduction." The live ended at 90 minutes. Phone battery flashed red, but adrenaline kept me wired. I scrolled replay comments. Hundreds of hearts, stories from strangers, women in quiet marriages, men ashamed they never thanked their moms. A tiny ding. New follower, Nathan Tabuzi. My thumb hovered, stunned. He'd watched. No message followed, but the single action felt like a tentative knock on a locked door. I set the phone down, lifted the stew pot to cool. My reflection rippled in the surface. Tired eyes, yes, but bright. Tomorrow paperwork would resume, lawyers would email, Franklin would strategize. But tonight I had fed more than one hunger, including my own. I ladled soup into a ceramic bowl, carried it to the table once reserved for Franklin's lecture notes. Steam rose, fogging the edge of Gerard's plastic-sleeved letter, still propped against a sugar jar. Evidence and nourishment side by side, strangely harmonious. I whispered almost to the onion-scented air, "Court was the gavel, the kitchen is the echo." The house listened, quiet, and for once not a lonely quiet, a full-bellied, maybe I can sleep quiet. I picked up my spoon. First sip, savory, steadying. Second sip, possibility. By the third, I tasted something new. Victory, yes, but gentler. The warmth of becoming visible in my own story. Somewhere beyond the window, city lights blinked like camera flashes, but none of them mattered as much as the steady glow of the phone on the counter, waiting, like me, for the next chapter to simmer. My phone buzzed like a hive before sunrise. Screenshots stacked higher than yesterday's dishes. Headline after headline. Professor Whitmore accused of asset fraud. Violinist's silent performance at center of scandal, from caregiver to queen of stew. A chat pinged from Jasmine next door. "Girl, you're trending." Link opened on a blogger's mashup. Courtroom clip of Franklin gritting his teeth. Then that hospital doorway footage. His soft darling dancing through speakers everywhere. Edits flashed. Washik property prints over Nathan's face. Washik's soup queen under mine. A million views, climbing. Campus footage surfaced next. Students chanting outside Franklin's lecture hall. "Academic honesty," signboards read, and someone waved a giant ladle painted gold. Nathan's name flashed. I answered on speaker while measuring rice. His voice cracked. "Mom, people tag me in memes. Property prince who robbed his own mother. My boss emailed the link." Rice rattled into the pot. "Action season reputation, sweetheart. You have to issue a statement." "I already did. Court testimony." "Mum, they're posting Dad's love letters. They call Evelyn Miss Symphony side piece. This is nuclear." I stirred. "Then maybe stop adding fuel." Static filled the pause, then a whisper. "Dad's on the verge of collapse." "Consequences feel heavy when you've never carried any." He exhaled, sounding 12 again. "What do I do?" "Wash your own dishes first," I said, click-ending the call. The kettle whistled. I poured tea, heart-thumping calm beats it hadn't known in years. Doorbell. Through the peephole. Franklin, grey overshadowing his temples, suit rumpled like yesterday's newspaper. He called through the wood. "Can we talk?" My phone countdown flashed. "Live in 5 minutes." I cracked the door an inch. "Streaming soon. Schedule's tight." His eyes hollow. "I'm losing everything. Students, grants. They dug up that Marcelli video. Sponsors pulled from Evelyn's gala." Steam curled from my mug. Truth travels faster than charm these days. "I never meant for the internet to notice, or for me to." I kept my voice soft, almost pitying. "Either way, the noticing happened." He swallowed. "Margot, decades together. Let's fix this privately." Private was a foreign country now. I opened the door wider, not for him, for the tripod light spilling into the hall. I'm about to ladle empowerment, I said, stepping back. You can watch like everyone else. Door clicked shut. The porch remained silent, save for one shaky exhale. Phone propped, ring light on. Evening, kitchen crew, I greeted. Tonight we tackle boil over bisque. When life bubbles too high, you lower the heat, not the flavor. Chat filled instantly. Saw the chants. Soup queen, teach us resilience. Where'd you get that ladle? I added tomato paste, color deepening to defiant red. Rule 1, I said. Never apologize for boiling when someone else turned up the flame. Heart emojis floated. A new comment. Franklin's TV interview at 8. Nervous? I tasted broth, smiled. He knows where to find the recipe for calm. It's public domain now. Between stirring, phone vibrated. Voicemail from Evelyn, her accent brittle. You humiliated artists who devote lives to beauty. Remove that footage or face defamation. Delete. Email from a publisher subject line, recipe book proposal. I flagged it with a grin. Ping. Text from Inga. University board meeting. Rumor. Suspension incoming. Want front row link. I typed 2 words. Popcorn ready. Live stream chat erupted. Breaking. Professor Whitmore placed on leave. Link spammed. I opened it picture in picture. Franklin exiting a meeting. Microphone circling. Reporter. Any comment on alleged fraud? His response. No comment. Voice flat. Eyes haunted. Chat scroll. Mic drop. Justice stew simmering. Property prints next. A tip jar notification flashed. $100 from Student for Truth with the message, "Your dignity feeds us." Unexpected tears blurred the screen. I blinked hard, kept stirring. Salt levels perfect, I whispered, more to myself than the audience. Stream ended at 90 minutes and 26,000 concurrent viewers. My throat ached, but the ache felt like new lungs stretching. Midnight, quiet enough to hear neighborhood wind chimes. I stepped onto the porch. No Franklin. Moonlight revealed a neatly folded newspaper on the step. Headline, Whitmore Estate freeze confirmed. Under it, a sticky note, I'm sorry. N. I pressed the paper to my chest. Unexpected heaviness, unexpected hope, but I left it outside for the night air. Some things needed weathering before bringing them in. Inside, bisque cooled. I filled a thermos, the same dented one that once spilled at the hospital, and scribbled a label, for Inga, victory fuel. Tomorrow I'd drop it at her office with newly signed cookbook contracts. I washed the pot, water warm around my fingers. The window showed my reflection, hair still frizzy, eyes still tired, but there was something else. A steady glow, bright as backsplash tiles at dawn. I whispered into the empty kitchen, boil over complete. The words tasted like freedom, thick and satisfying, the kind you don't need to season twice. Morning light spilled through the bakery window, glazing the croissants like fresh varnish. Inga slid a folder across the tiny table. The metal clasp caught sunbeams and flung them at my eyes. Publisher loved your voice, she said, tapping the cover. 12 recipes, 12 life lessons, advance big enough to buy those non-stick dreams you kept ignoring. My fingertips brushed the title, Recipes for Myself, embossed in copper foil. It felt warm, almost alive. I half laughed. Who's going to read stories from a 63-year-old with soup stains on half her wardrobe? Inga sipped her Americano. The women who wear the same stains. My chest fluttered. Hope or terror, hard to tell. I clicked the pen, signed, and the cafe clapped. Or maybe that was just the espresso machine hissing approval. Launch day arrived like a surprise birthday, nerve-wracking but sparkling. The library's event room smelled of fresh paper and citrus candles. Rows of silver hair, kind eyes, and a few bright-haired granddaughters filled the chairs. My knees wobbled behind the podium. A librarian leaned in. Take a breath. They're here for you. I opened the first box of books. Brand new ink rose like perfume. The mic squeaked, then steadied. Hi, friends, I began. Chapter 1 starts with a stock pot and a boundary. Laughter bubbled, gentle and knowing. Mid-speech, a woman in a lavender cardigan, hugged her copy to her chest, tears catching the light. She whispered, "You wrote my marriage. Now I'm ready to rewrite the ending." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Then let's sharpen our pencils and our knives." Applause rippled like wind across wheat fields. Cameras flashed, but the glow that filled the room wasn't from bulbs. It was from the collective revelation that life didn't expire at the first grey hair. While signing copies, voices overlapped. "My granddaughter watches your live every night." I finally told my husband no, because of your onion monologue. "Your survival stew saved my divorce diet." Every story landed in my heart like a bright seed. My phone buzzing in my blazer pocket felt oddly heavy. Screen lit, rehab ward. I let it ring, kept smiling for photos. Later, backstage among cardboard boxes and ribbon scraps, I listened. Franklin's voice thinner than I remembered. "I'm sorry. Come back. This place is lonely." Silence followed. No violin, no lawyer, just pleads echoing off rehab walls. Hand hovering over the delete button, doubt pricked. Was compassion a duty that outlived betrayal? I heard my past self in that hospital hallway, soup cooling at my feet, Franklin calling me just the caregiver. The old ache flickered, but didn't reignite. I drew a breath, steady and clear. "Boundaries," I murmured, thumb pressing delete. Voicemail vanished like steam off a pot. I stepped onto the auditorium floor, contract copy tucked under my arm, and raised the mic one last time. "Ladies," I announced, voice ringing with more saffron than salt. "Tonight's recipe is choice chili. First ingredient, saying no when the world expects yes." Cheer rose, bright and buoyant. Somewhere between podium and signing table, realization bloomed. The best dish I ever mastered was refusal, served hot for me and for every woman who's ever waited in a hallway with cold soup. As the crowd queued for hugs and autographs, sunrise colors leaked through tall windows, and I tasted the first spoonful of a life seasoned to my own liking, bold, balanced, and finally mine.